to having a bad time.
Oh, also, there's this new feature in StreamYard, Ayrton, that you can use because you have like administrator access or whatever. You can hit B to clip out a segment of the show and download it later.
Nice. So, like you're saying, you could clip out just the part where we're talking about the Marvels
No, the
post that
draft.
later. Well, I mean
The
that too.
draft. I would never. I might actually clip out the part where we're talking about the Marvels and delete it from the stream.
Well, that's rude.
But anyway, go ahead and start talking about the Marvels. Since I mean that's where the show. Welcome to the Church of Failure, everyone. I apologize for what's about to happen.
Well, Church, I have to ask a serious question. I don't recall if you had quit or if you had cut back, but are you drunk enough for us to talk about the Marvels meaningfully?
Well, the thing is, there's not a lot meaningful to talk about in the Marvels. So I can summarize.
No. The Marvels is not meaningful. I'm saying, is Church going to be able to survive with insufficient alcohol in his system for what we're about to discuss?
Well, no, I mean, one more day is what Church is going to need to have the alcohol for.
One more day is what I damn well need alcohol for.
So the problem with the Marvel script is, here's the script. Things happen.
I like how no one acknowledges that I left.
What do you mean? No one acknowledges that you left.
Nobody acknowledged that I left as soon as I said, "Welcome to the Church of Failure." Apparently, we're talking about the Marvels.
I mean, it's worse than that, because I was actually asking you about your drunkenness level and whether or not you had enough alcohol for this. The answer is no. You had to go get some.
Sober.
I'm so sorry. You and I have to suffer together.
So the script for the Marvels, in a nutshell, is a bunch of things happen because of things that are vaguely explained in a flashback. And then they fight a space hole instead of a giant space laser. And then Black Girl Magic, sews up the space hole and sets up a movie that might maybe be interesting if Disney just loses their money.
Larry, I can't let this misogyny go on. No matter what you think of Brie Larson, it's not okay to call her a space hole.
No. This movie is all about fighting space holes. There are multiple space holes that are being set up in this movie.
Look, Larry, are you positing that this film is all about becoming comfortable with your hole?
No, actually, the holes are bad.
No, I thought this movie was just Spaceballs.
There is a very strong rip-off element of Spaceballs. So there was a Kree Civil War.
The moral of the story is holes are bad. So this is an incel movie?
So off screen, there was a Kree Civil War that was started by Captain Marvel with really bad CGI, which means it was something they threw together in post and in the reshoots. And because of that Kree Civil War, their sun's not working. Their planet is devastated. And so Darben, who I'm going to be calling for the rest of this thing, Angry Ghetto Kree Lady, gets one of the quantum bands, which is the now name for the magical doozy what's-it that gave Kamala Khan her powers. She gets one of those things and taps the hammer thing from Ronan the Accuser on it, and enables her to make a space hole.
You mean the thing that was destroyed?
Yes.
Because multiple people have gotten very upset about the fact that that thing was destroyed.
Yes. But now it's not destroyed. Probably something else that happened off screen.
Right.
So, Captain Marvel and Black Girl Magic both went to investigate space holes.
Is that Monica's name now? Is Black Girl Magic?
No, but I'm going to continue to make that joke because that part of the movie was really stupid, but not as stupid as the part of the movie that I had to share with you before the show. That you had to see it to believe it. So Monica, aka Black Girl Magic, and Captain Marvel both touch space holes that are leaking strange radiation. Now, why would you touch space holes that are leaking strange radiation? Because otherwise the plot of the movie won't happen.
So Britney Spears makes a cameo.
So because
that's how we basically started our Chronicles of Darkness adventure, was me touching a space hole.
Exactly. And how did that work out for your character? You got exploded.
Got exploded, and he got his arm ripped off and sewed back on by a mantis man. It
Yeah.
really
And
did not
up to
work
a
out for
man.
you well at all.
So, because they get quantum entangled, and it's weird that nobody said, "Hey, this whole thing is like quantum entanglement." Nobody wrote that in the script of the movie because that would have made things sound less stupid. Their powers got entangled, and so if two of them are using their powers at the same time, they switch places in time and space, except when it doesn't do that, which happens like at least 8 or 9 times during the big dumb combat sequence that's in the beginning of the movie. Eventually, there's like a little bit of a stealth mission that Monica, Carol, and Kamala all get involved in because of the switchbacks and all that. And
You
it's
have
on
to
a
have a
planet.
stealth part of the video game.
Exactly. It's on a planet where the Kree are, and not the Kree, where the Skrulls are. And the Kree are like said, "Hey, we want you Skrulls to join us and be a core component of our Kree empire." And the Skrulls were like, "You're making a reasonable offer. We need to think about it." And then Captain Marvel showed up, like, "So you're the Annihilator. You destroyed our civilization. You're responsible for the death of untold billions of people. You brought her here, so we're just going to steal all your air." And she creates a space hole to steal all their air.
Merchandising.
The heroes barely save any of the Skrulls. Then Carol Danvers calls in Tessa Thompson because she says, "Hey, if I do a cameo in this movie, that counts as one of my contractual obligations to play this character, right? That means they'll have to do one less of these movies." And that was a core feeling you got from most of what was going on. Everybody was doing this out of contractual obligation. And then, King Valkyrie took away the scrolls, and we weren't going to see them again. And here's an important question for y'all. But why, though? Why did we have the scrolls there? There is a slight character arc, but it's for Kamala Khan out of this whole sequence. Kamala Khan, who is the C player in the Trinity of
But why,
characters
though?
in this movie. And then Brie Larson's like going, "Oh, hey, they're totally going to this other planet, right? And this other planet has like 99.65% water on it." And they're like, "That's very specific." And then they go to the planet and everybody sings to communicate, dances, except when they don't. Now, the thing is, the actors who played Monica and Plank, they're just walking around through the sequence. Whereas, Iman Vellani, the actress who plays Ms. Marvel, she was dancing around, she was singing, she was performing with people.
Larry, I need to correct you on one small thing. Plank is one of the best characters from Ed, Ed and Eddie. You really shouldn't disrespect him like that.
Fair enough. And then they meet up with Captain Marvel's space husband, who's a Korean twink.
Oh.
And he gives them new costumes.
Oh, you went out of your way not to mention that because you knew it was going to hurt me.
Yes. He gives them new costumes that look worse than the costumes that they started the movie with.
Oh, it's actually extra funny. One of the posts making the rounds on the net is that the actress of Kamala Khan's homemade cosplay looks better than the costume they gave her in this movie.
Yes. Then they fight on the planet. They fail to save this planet. Angry ghetto Kree lady takes the water. And then it's like, oh yeah, she's destroyed these planets because they're important to me. So where's she going to go next? Oh wait, they're going to go to Earth and steal our sun and use our sun to restart a sun, even though that's not how nuclear physics works. And you know who could have told her that? The nuclear physicist who's a character in the show.
Yeah, but Black Girl Magic.
Well, Black Girl Magic, exactly. Now, then they return to the Saber base, which is in ruins because there's a comedy subplot. And it's okay, though. All the escape pods were destroyed, so they have the Flurkin kittens eat all the people and not digest them, just eat them. And there's a scene where everybody's running in terror from kittens that are Cthulhu kittens coming to eat them. They get down to Earth safely, and one of the Cthulhu kittens vomits some people up in the ship before they land. And the Cthulhu kittens escape. So we now have an invasive Cthulhu kitten species on Earth in the MCU. That's a thing that exists now. And so Ghetto Kree Space Lady gets both of the quantum bands at the end of the second fight sequence. She gets ready to use them, and then she explodes. But she'd already ripped the membrane between multiverses, and so Black Girl Magic has to fly into the hole after Kamala Khan and Captain Marvel fill her up with energy to try to sew the membrane between realities back together. And then the movie finally ends on a good scene with the actress playing Kamala Khan doing a perfect deadpan performance of Nick Fury in Iron Man 1, talking to Kate Bishop about, the Young Avengers Initiative. And it's like, wow, you knew this scene how to do something that worked. The actresses had a good chemistry together, so it's not their fault. The writing was terrible. The writers involved in this wrote WandaVision and Loki, so it should be no surprise that this movie's garbage. Are you going to show the kittens? Is that what you were going to do there, Church?
No.
Okay.
See, I'm sharing my camera, which I usually do not do, what with my epic dwarf beard and everything. Because the only way I can express
I go to
how
the bathroom
little fun
and I come
I'm
back,
having.
And I put Plinky out, my
discussing-
viewership goes up 30 to 50 viewers when there is a plank of wood here. And then the second that I unmute the mic and I sit back down in the chair, it drops like 70.
They simping for a plank more than you. Oh, bro. Which maybe has some hope.
Wow. So Plinky. When I go to the bathroom and
Anyway.
I come.
I was going to say, I had to turn on my camera to show just how little fun I am having.
Yeah.
Listening to you describe the Marvels. I can't play the game I have running in the other window. You've ruined my experience. My day is ruined.
Well, hold up.
And I am unhappy now.
Hold up. There is one thing more to ruin you from this movie. So Black Girl Magic tells Brie Larson, "Oh, you can totally restart the Kree sun with your superpowers." Well, I don't know how to do that. Well, I didn't know how to do a whole bunch of things today, and I figured them all out. So Brie Larson flies into the Kree sun and restarts it. Because, again, that's how physics works.
See, I don't like the how it should have happened, guys. But if you're watching in the internet out there, guys, it's real simple. How Captain Marvel should have ended. Well, I've done a whole bunch of things and they work, so try it. And
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
no, you're not.
But yeah,
That's
no,
actually what
We got to quit interrupting Joe.
there was
Game. He's done.
there was a good alternate idea, like just make it space Charlie's Angels. With
Oh, you mean
Old
like a
man-
Nova Corps movie that people actually would have wanted to see?
yeah. So that's the Marvels.
You could've
There's
called
no
it
vision.
You could have called it Nick Fury's Marvels and done it like a Charlie's Angels thing.
Yeah, but there was no vision for this
the
movie.
Best part.
There was no
you don't
direction.
even
No,
have-
Vision's still dead from WandaVision.
Exactly.
You don't even have to have Nick Fury show up. You could just have Nick Fury be a voice giving orders. Literally have Sam Jackson record in his bathroom. He won't care. He'll just take the paycheck.
But an interesting theory has been postulated is that, when all the good MCU movies were made, Kevin Feige actually had a boss. Once all the
Oh,
MCU movies
you
started
mean
falling
Pearl
off a
Muter?
cliff,
Who
Yes.
nobody liked.
yes, but
Ike was
apparently,
a giant asshole.
because apparently all of the good movies, Ike Perlmutter had to sign off on all of those movies.
Right.
The change in regime happened around the time of Black Panther.
No.
But
The
Ryan
change
Coogler,
in regime happened at the time of the Disney buyout of Marvel.
no.
Yes.
No. Ike Perlmutter still had Feige under a yoke.
I understand that because contractual obligations are a thing. But Ike was not liked at Marvel when he was editor-in-chief because he was a hard ass.
Yes. But
When Disney bought him out, they also got him out because they didn't want to compete with entrenched management. He was not liked at Disney either for being a hard ass.
right. But the thing is, he was actually supervising Feige during all the Marvel movies we liked.
Right.
But
I'm not disagreeing with the thesis that he was the irritant making it work. I'm saying
he was
on the way out because Disney didn't want to slap fight with somebody who could actually disagree with them.
Wait, he was still in charge during Marvel's Race War?
No. That was done after Kevin Feige got him out of the movie production line.
No,
Well,
Larry's talking about the first
you
Black
said all the
Panther, the
movies
one
you
you
liked.
forgot.
I mean, I'm not talking about movies we liked because it's unintentionally hilarious.
He's talking about the era, and there is some rollover. That means that Perlmutter was still in charge during Civil War when the Russo brothers had a hand in things and made good films. Interestingly enough, they seem to have left about the time he did. I can't imagine why. It's like
So,
they got they got very busy suddenly.
Yeah. So that's the Marvels. I wouldn't recommend anybody else watch it. I watched it for you. So, are we ready to talk about One More Day? Are we ready to
people of Where's My Horse?
Larry, I am deeply bothered by the fact that you just described all that, and you did in fact say that people that had written on Loki had written on the Marvels, and yet I enjoyed Loki more than your description of the Marvels.
Well, yes, because the Marvels wasn't a comedy, wasn't a drama, wasn't a political thriller. Basically, it wasn't anything any of those writers would have written in Loki.
Well, see, there's also a weird particular thing because we joke about Brie Larson being a plank. We do because she's very wooden in Captain Marvel. She clearly wasn't comfortable with being a superhero. And everybody talks about how they had great chemistry, and some people really endorse Kamala Khan because her actress is really enthusiastic to be there. We pray she doesn't turn into a Will Wheaton. In Loki, there is one bright point in all of the garbage that is Loki, and you and I talked about it. Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston own every scene that they're in together because they are damn good at their jobs, even when they're given shit to work with. So all of these problems become more noticeable when good actors got nothing, and when bad actors or middling actors are worse.
Yep. So, Church, are you ready to open up the festering wound of One More Day again?
We literally pick at it every couple of months, don't we? We just dig into the injury and hope it gets better.
I mean, it's never getting better. It's never getting better until Marvel management says, we're done with this incontinuity.
We're done with this incontinence.
Yeah. So one of the things about One More Day is Straczynski was on his way out, and Joey Quesadilla told him he needed to write this garbage. Joey Quesadilla specified what had to be in this garbage, and some of it was also forced on him by Mark Millar writing the horror show that is Marvel Comics Civil War. Because they had to have Spider-Man, their most popular character, join the registration side. So there were consequences for that stupid decision that was incredibly out of character.
It is also worth mentioning that Straczynski's primary claim to fame is Babylon 5, and his other work has been subpar, if not middling.
Wait, didn't he write that Thor run that everybody loves?
Yeah, he did, and he's doing pretty good in Captain America.
I
Different
told you I
strokes
was
for
coming
different
on.
folks, certainly.
Well, I told you I was going to come on and be prepared to play devil's advocate, but after rereading this today, and it could have a lot to do with the fact that I haven't read a new good comic book in so long that this isn't bad. I don't hate this. Like, I do have some notes
So
about it.
hold
Okay,
up, hold up,
Ayrton,
hold up,
Grandpa's
hold
I
up.
having a
legit-
stroke. We got to call the home.
I
No.
legitimately did not hate this in its
No,
entirety.
What Church is saying is that the bar has been lowered so far.
I know.
This
know.
hurdle's over it, boys. Like, I
I
don't think you understand. This is great comics.
no, I actually had that conversation with somebody last night. So somebody said, but isn't this so good? And I said, yeah. When you lower the bar that badly, everything else looks great by comparison.
But anyway, go ahead and get your thoughts out. I have a review breakdown issue by issue. I have thoughts on each issue broken down for art, writing, and even some lettering critique. But overall thoughts and whatnot. So
So
do what you got to
let's-
do, and I'll
Let's
chime in
let's
as
start off
necessary.
with the first thing is Spider-Man's aunt is in the hospital. It's his fault, and he goes to fight the asshole who convinced him to do the stupid thing, Tony Stark. Not any
Okay.
of the other rich assholes he knows who might be able to give him money to help take care of his aunt.
Right.
He goes to the person who's the sociopath and has a fight with him. This is
So who would you have him go to besides Tony Stark?
Moon Knight actually has money.
No, he
For-
doesn't. He's
for
still
what?
chasing down that $20 from Dracula.
That's because he's hot. The character of Moon Knight actually has money.
Well, here's the thing, and again, I mean, and I'm being completely serious. Just because that is in Moon Knight's character pattern, Peter Parker's on a limited time frame here. Aunt May is in critical condition.
All right.
They're going to move her to a charity ward.
All right,
So
I'm going to give a
Hold
serious
up,
answer
hold
to
up.
this. I'm going to give a serious answer to this because we know he does try to visit the Fantastic Four, and they can't help.
well, that comes later. Well, that's not yet.
Spidey-
That's next issue.
I'm just saying, Spidey could have gone to the X-Men.
He could have.
Like, Beast is a full-on doctor.
Also,
Man.
Charles Xavier's got a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
Warren Worthington's got a fuck ton of money. But the real truth is, issue 1 is all about Peter being mad at Tony Stark for being an asshole.
Yes, and trying to
Something-
guilt him into paying into footing the bill,
Which he does.
initially declined. He initially declined, so, and tries to moral his way out of it until he realizes he has an out by having Jarvis do it.
So this is the high point for me of One More Day. Things go immediately downhill. So
Okay,
Peter,
real quick. Let me. That's where we are in issue 1, right?
yeah.
So my notes are as followed. I make note: writer Straczynski, pencils Joe Quesadilla, and letterer Chris Elapoulos. The art I found serviceable but not great. The hash marks in the faces and regular human bodies don't mesh well with the digital coloring and shadowing. Characters in close-ups were either way too over detailed, and characters from afar were kind of under detailed with no happy medium between the two. So it was kind of a jarring mix of putting together two art styles to accomplish something. And then there are some panels that are just bad. I've got some notes here. Let's see. So on page 6 here, pull that up. You've got these faces, and I mean, what the fuck is Peter doing with his face right here? Why does he look like he's got a frown that goes all the way to underneath his chin? And then over here is what I was talking about with the hash marks and the shadowing being inconsistent across the board.
And And the nose looks really weird.
I can't.
Right.
Here's the thing: we can't be certain, but let's get it out of the way. That this is the era where Marvel was trying to get away with a lot of ray tracing from online sources.
Also, they
It's
wanted to
entirely
be topical
possible. I'm sorry. What?
about the whole reason about the plot device being about money is they want to be topical with Obamacare.
I'm just saying that overall, in terms of quality of art, a lot of it could be that they took a photo from somewhere else and then tried to redraw elements.
And this
did
isn't
it
my
badly.
final. This isn't my final thoughts on the art. Actually, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. But a lot of the faces, just in this first issue specifically, like I said, you see what I'm talking about here with the over detailing, and then the under detailing here and here. Like the under detailing doesn't look bad, but when you try and do a middle ground, you get some shit like this right here, and it's not good.
Well, another component, very very quickly. People have said that there's a problem in modern comic art that the characters are highly stylized, highly detailed, but backgrounds are taking a serious hit, and that pair of pages is a perfect example of that, because there's some ceiling in one shot, there's some wall in a back shot, and then there's a lot of empty space with talking people in it throughout. And
this is a perfect example of what you're talking about right here. I did have a note about that. And this also showcases more of that weird facial structuring that Joey Q's doing. But not all of the art that I find bad. So if we go back to what my digital copy's page 10 is, then we'll start to see some of the movement art. And I think this actually really shines, like the swinging, him like suiting up in his nanotech suit, and then I've got another thing here where the initial fight starts, where there's some movement.
I want to throw this out there because I think this is pertinent, because people give us some red ass, or at least they give me some red ass, for shit talking Isom, for not falling in line on art quality issues.
Right.
There are several points in this comic where characters are in action stills that are still. They are stagnant. There's very little sequential art in my sequential art.
I disagree with that. I think the paneling and the layout structure was fine.
Go back to the Peter Parker and
let me finish.
Iron Man suiting up, and I believe there's an example of disagreement.
All right, so when I pulled that up, I wasn't saying that this was perfect, but if you look here, I mean, you've got solid movement. You've got him swinging out, going towards a building, landing on the building, going through a window. You've got Tony Stark detecting it. A close-up on his face as he acknowledges the threat. He suits up. Peter Parker falls through this area, and then boom, right on the next page,
but
you've got him being surprised and being hit. I think that's pretty sequential artsy.
But with the exception of the first panel on the other page, it's not very dynamic. Right?
No. And again, I don't think every drawing has to be dynamic. And again, I'm not saying this first issue is not a great example of what this book will actually become art-wise, but we'll get there. So, like I said, there's some really good examples, and the coup de grace here is page 27, where you have Spider-Man swinging out over the city. You've got a really detailed background. You've got movement in Mary Jane's hair. This is actually probably the best 2-page that you're going to get out of this book. And I don't hate that. Like I said, it's the first book of these people working together and their vision coming together. So I'm willing to give it a chance, because there are some gems, and it's not all terrible, but there are some things that I had some problems with. The writing, though, the writing of this first issue, I think, carries the story. Rereading it today, I've read this before, but rereading it today, and maybe it's just because I'm thirsty for good comic stories again. But I barely even noticed any of the bad art.
Thirsty.
Well, like I said, I barely noticed any of the critiques on the art that I had because I wasn't paying as close attention to it or scrutinizing it because I was enveloped in the story. By the time the issue ended, it only felt like it was 5 or 10 pages. And that's what I kind of put towards being a good, well put together storyline. There are some cheeky foreshadowing points that I'm not okay with per se, because Peter says, "Well, I'll sell my soul," and I'm like, "Oh God!" Knowing what happens at the end of this book, you don't need that in there.
Well, hold up. We haven't gotten into the full-on character assassination of Peter Parker yet. That's in the next issue.
Right, but I'm saying you don't need that. Like, it's something I feel like a bereaved relative in Peter's situation might say.
Like the first issue made sense. It worked. If it was more like the first issue for the whole series, we wouldn't have had a problem. But then the whole rest of the series happened.
All right, and my final thoughts here are the lettering. So you've got this opening page, and it's a very weird stylistic choice where you have this like Helvetica style font, and then you just immediately shift to regular comic lettering. I don't get that. I don't like it. The second thing I don't like, these boxes with that red halftone, hard to read, almost breaks you out of the story every time they pop up. Like, I get what they're doing. That shit needed to be at least 50% opacity. I might even go so far as to make it 25. If you're just going to put a black letter on top of there and offer no other separation, I think you blur, not blur it, but you half tone that out about 50% and just keep it moving. But all in all, the lettering was fine. Nothing spectacular about it. I didn't like these boxes, and I didn't like this opening page with the completely opposite font. So you were talking about issue number 2. That would be Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 24.
Yes. Where he goes to see Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is like telling him, "Peter, your Aunt May is like 98 years old. She's old as dirt. If it wasn't the bullet, it was going to be something else."
Right.
But Doctor Strange has empathy, even though there's also some really weird facial choices in this thing that are really distracting. And Peter Parker goes to see all the wise and smart people. This is where not only do they do a character assassination on Spider-Man, they also do a character assassination on Doctor Doom. Where Doctor Doom's like, "Bitch, I got a time machine. Come to Latveria. I'll hook you up."
Yeah, but they do blatantly show Dr. Doom being like piss off. But again, Doom would literally look at that situation and be like, "My mother's soul is in hell. Fuck you."
Well, no. Doom is a man that has empathy and compassion. Spider-Man's an honorable foe.
Okay.
What fucking Doom are you talking about?
Guys, there is a middle ground that I think you're talking past each other about. Because Doom would have empathy for Peter Parker's plight. Doom also would be like, "Yes, come to Latveria. Use my time machine. I will surely ask something of you later." Doom would try to profiteer.
Will not take your blood and take your spider powers, because that's what
Doom would try to profiteer off of Peter Parker's suffering.
It's true. It's true.
But he would feel empathy for it. It's just he'd be also a ruthless fuck.
Yes. So there's interesting story beats in there, but they don't want to focus on them because they want to focus on making Peter Parker be stupid.
They show him going to various characters. You got Black Panther and Storm, Morbius, you got some X-Men here, you got Beast, you got Doom.
As a Morbius fan, I can say 100%. No, Morbius could not help.
Octavius is in here.
Yeah.
Morbius would be more afraid about making things worse.
Yeah. But anyway,
I'm really surprised Moon Knight doesn't show up and just offer him some ketamine.
This was before the ketamine bit. So Then Peter steals Doctor Strange's magic. Magic things attack him for being stupid. This whole comic's all about let's make Peter be stupid and act out of character.
For
Now,
me, it was very the Flash meets Multiverse of Madness. You've
Right.
got your time remnants, and you've got Multiverse of Madness level stakes.
But you see, at least in the Flash and Multiverse of Madness, well, in the Multiverse of Madness, the characters acted in a way that made sense. So this is really more like the Flash, where characters act stupid because otherwise the story wouldn't happen.
Or not Multiverse of Madness. No Way Home.
Okay. Now in No Way Home, they don't do this exact plot point because this exact plot point is stupid, and the writers of No Way Home understood that.
I know, but No Way Home did take a lot of story beats from One More Day, and we both know it.
Yes, I agree with you, but it actually made those story beats not stupid.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
Well, look. Let's get to the 8 million pound, 666 dimensional monster in the room. It didn't hinge on Satan because they knew that was a bad idea.
Right. We haven't gotten to Satan yet.
We're gonna get to Satan, but I'm just throwing out there that No Way Home's plot hinged on magical fuckery, not Satan.
Well, this issue exists so people who pick up One More Day for the first time, having not read the previous comic books and not knowing what Civil War was, get the wonderful experience of seeing Aunt May shot on panel.
Right, which would have never happened because Spider-Man would have never taken Tony Stark up on his offer, but also he would have it was dumb. It was dumb.
Well, here's the thing. Peter Parker's spider sense would have sensed the bullet, we are led to believe Peter Parker jumped out of the way of the bullet. You'd think Peter Parker's
he pulled Mary Jane to the ground.
You would have thought that Peter Parker's spider sense would have had him leap back and literally shove Aunt May off the bed.
Yeah,
he was saving his wife.
I get that. I get that he can't save both people, but still.
Right, but here's the thing. In the initial story written by under direction of Mark Millar, Peter acted in character. He had to make a terrible decision, and now they're character assassinating him, and they set it up where we see, oh, hey, here's a little redhead girl who's obviously your kid, Peter. It's obviously your kid. It's obviously a supernatural trick, and you're smart enough to know it's obvious. But Church, let's go with you're taking issue 2.
Speaking of terrible art, by the way, what is that face? What is it? That is like a potato.
I'm gonna bring that up. However, all in all, I think the art in issue 2 was a lot more focused, was a lot more succinct. I think the inker and the colorist were on board with what Joey Q was doing this time, and did a little better. Well, I mean, I'm not saying that they needed to follow Joey Q's direction, but they took what he was doing and did better with it than they did in the first one. What the fuck is that?
There's a little musical interlude in the background.
There's apparently some awesome music, is what that is.
Okay. Anything more than One More Day, right, Rune? Anyway, the writing in this issue is really where the story starts to disconnect a lot for me. Mainly, I agree with a couple of Larry's points that a lot of this is out of character with Spider-Man, but I'm not taking those low-hanging fruit. What I'm going to actually criticize is there was a blatant disconnect, not only from the original story with Mark Millar, but from the last episode or the last issue. Mm-hmm. So at first in this comic book, they reference Aunt May being moved from a charity ward to a regular part of the hospital, and she was never put in the charity ward to begin with in the last issue. The Doctor Strange dialogue felt really forced, like they were just trying to push to a narrative instead of, actually drawing it out. Again, some of the points you made earlier, Larry, there were plenty of people Peter could go talk to help with this. He didn't have to stop at Doctor Strange.
I just had a mind explosion.
Okay.
They fucked up in a very particular way that we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Peter went to Tony.
Uh-huh.
Tony said no, because Tony's a bit of a shit and had to think about it for a minute and find a workaround.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done something amazing.
Okay.
If out of the blue, J. Jonah Jameson had walked in and put down the money for Aunt May's surgery.
I fucking hate Spider-Man, but I love you and that woman. Here's some money.
Right. No, that's the thing. That's the thing. At that moment, he was livid because Peter Parker had been lying to him for decades. He hated Peter Parker, but he knew May Parker was a good woman. He knew that she was a decent human being, and J. Jonah Jameson is nothing for all of his flaws and inequities. If he is not an honorable man, he would have done it. If Peter had gone to him and asked, he would have said, "Take your money and get the hell out of my house." But he would have done it.
But otherwise, then the story wouldn't have happened.
That's not how that would have gone on. Actually, Mary Jane Watson would have walked into him,
which would have also been
explained
good.
The situation. Yeah,
which would have also been good.
No matter what your problem with Peter is right now, you know the situation, and it's not her fault. Anyway.
Wait, one more on this subject. There's another guy that should have showed up to help Peter. Doc Ock.
He went to Doc Ock.
Yeah, but remember,
Doc Ock in episode 2. Rune's talking about episode 1.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Doc Ock was married to Aunt May.
Yes,
he was.
Why would he not do all he could to save the woman he used to be married to?
Well, because he's already paying alimony.
I wouldn't do shit to save
by the
my
way,
ex.
is that
What are you
8
talking
times
about,
the alimony?
I actually, when we get through this, I've got a point that's similar to that would have made sure this never had to happen. But I'm still fulfilling my role.
Yeah.
Again, the Doctor Strange dialogue felt a little bit forced. The flow, it didn't really work for me. But about halfway through the story, it does pick up after the moment of desperation and the plot. You see it starting to take place from Peter's third person perspective with the Night Walkers and all that shit. And then you see the recurring instance of the red bird.
Yeah.
From the first issue, from the first panel. And then
that's a good visual connection to what's about to happen.
And then that becomes Mayday Parker, who we all know later becomes Mephisto, but we'll get into that.
Like potato.
All in all, the writing was engaging still, but it started to stagger a little in this issue.
Can we talk about that little girl real quick? How she looks like Greta Thunberg if she wasn't made by AI?
Oh God! Yes. Now I can't unsee it. God damn it!
Now I will say, it's almost like they read my mind when I look at the first issue. All of those little narration boxes that I had a problem with, they really cut back on the red halftone and they took out the spider eye. Made it much easier to read. Now, other than that, the lettering's, fine. No issues with the lettering. So I felt like the art kind of stepped up and the writing stepped down, but all in all, still not a terrible comic book. It's getting us somewhere. It is moving in that direction, and it's not trying to do too many other things besides get us to there.
Well, it wants to focus on character assassinating Peter Parker. It needs to work hard to achieve that goal.
At least it's a story that has a focus. It's not just a story where things happen.
Right. They're not happening for seemingly no reason. Even if the reason's bad, they're happening for a reason.
Yes. The reason is somebody has spite and wants to destroy Peter Parker's life.
Well, no, he wants to let Peter Parker bang the Black Cat.
But that's not what ends up happening.
That's what he wants.
Well, that's because
but that's not what happened, though.
Larry, that's because other people also had spite and wanted to destroy Spider-Man.
You were talking about Greta Thunberg, Ayrton?
Also, Jesus Christ. Yeah. No, that's like a fucking goblin face. What the fuck?
Yes, it's
Thunberg looks like.
Is that the face of Gollum on the first on the cover?
It's
we're
not
saying
good.
the same thing, Rune.
It's not good. It's not good.
No,
we're
it's
saying
Greta
the same
Thunberg
words.
She wants
if
the
Greta
precious.
Thunberg wasn't,
The
if she
precious.
wasn't made by AI.
There's also, I want
That's
to
what
point
I
out,
said.
there is no continuity between facial depictions between any of those
No.
3 panels on the next page.
No, faces of real people are not Joey Q's specialty.
It is all over the place. My God.
It's like Rob Liefeld and feet, man. It's never gonna cement.
Yeah, but Rob Liefeld and feet, at least you could ignore because the faces were halfway decent, except when he showed teeth.
So, page 1, the little girl who's Mephisto starts playing the pronoun game, which again is a little heavy-handed for what they're doing, but they don't really screw up here. This is something that's a normal thing for this sort of a devil fairy trying to trick a person. It works. It's fine. It's not stupid. But then in the page, which is 71 of the version I have, towards the bottom, there's Peter going, well, I'm sure you'll grow up to be very beautiful. And what if I never grow up? What your problem is, you're selfish. You're selfish and you're self-involved. And you always put your pain at the center of the universe. So this isn't really Mephisto doing a good job of selling that he's not Mephisto.
Well, it's also not it's also not a good job of, like it's just bad dialogue. Let's be completely honest.
But hold up. It's almost like they weren't really sure that they wanted this to be Mephisto at this point in the comic.
Well,
and
this
so
is what
they
I was
kind
talking
of
about. This is something that should have come from Doctor Strange.
Look, can I make
this is tough love you need from somebody like Doctor Strange to kind of give you that push to take a Mephisto deal.
Can I make a comparison here, though, to advocate a different perspective?
Sure. That's what this whole show is about.
Have you guys recently seen The Prophecy? The old
Christopher Walken movie?
Christopher Walken film, yeah.
I haven't seen it.
The one marked by death will be the one who defeats the Dark Lord.
The thing is that towards the end of it, Viggo Mortensen is Satan.
Yeah.
Okay?
And it could have been Neville the whole time.
And Viggo Mortensen is pretty awful. He's a great actor, but he's being pretty awful. Okay? But I saw a review where somebody pointed out how bad his version of the devil is at actually tempting people. Because everything he does, every unpleasant thing he does, actually ends up driving people towards Christ. So it's actually a film about how Satan reaffirms people's religiosity so that they can fight Christopher Walken. Which is dumb. Okay? Because that is a dumb person's interpretation of what Satan would be like. Okay? And it's the same thing here. Why is Mephisto, in the guise of a little girl, criticizing Peter Parker? Because somehow, by telling him how it is, he'll fall. No, this would actually have the opposite effect. He would realize he's fucking up and then not do that.
But hold up. We haven't even gotten into the really stupid character assassination, where Peter Parker sees alternate versions of himself where he's an even weaker man.
I'm just saying this is borne out when you read later and other works, because Marvel does not know how to do Mephisto at all. They don't know what to do with the devil. Apparently, somewhere between the 70s and today, they just forgot.
Well, this dialogue, like I said, should have been delivered to a grieving Peter by Doctor Strange or Tony Stark, and it should have been part of the reason that in his grief and in his hardship that he turned to a route where he would be making a deal with Mephisto.
Well, hold up. We haven't gotten to discuss the part where he met the alternate versions of himself that were even morally weaker than he's being written to be right now, and intellectually
even though they're individually more financially successful than Peter Parker aligned with Tony Stark was.
Which is, again, extra stupid.
Yeah.
Well, Peter's not an
asshole.
Yeah. But Peter Parker's not dumb, and then he gets presented to the Scarlet Woman. Again, all of this is, the devil, magical fuckery, and Peter doesn't ask any questions. He just says, I'm just going to drift along here like a moron. And then he says, "Oh, hey, here's this thing where there's a rich person, and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, I'm the devil." And he says, "No, no, no. I don't want your soul. I want your happiness. I want to take, your marriage, your kid, and all of that. All that for Aunt May. A thing that Aunt May, if you asked her about it, says, 'Oh, I would never want that, Peter. I lived a good life. Blah blah blah.'" And then they say, "Well, no, we can't have MJ do that because that'd be taking away a woman's agency. So instead, we want to have MJ be the one who tricks Peter into accepting the deal with the devil and talks him into it."
I will
Get
throw
a
out
little
there
ahead
that
of yourself, but
once they stop using children models and start just using adult models, and especially Mephisto models, the art does take a significant step up. I know a lot of people make fun of the Mephisto face, but the fact of the matter is that Mephisto doesn't look bad in this book.
No.
We've seen him look much worse.
All right. So let's go with your notes, Church.
All right. So again, on a whole, I agree with your take. This is not, something to write home about. But again, having reread this in modern day, all right. So this is the Sensational Spider-Man number 41, the same creative team. And the art, I've got notes. I feel as this miniseries goes on, the art gets better as the pencils, ink, and colors find a common ground. Once you get your introduction to Mephisto, it clicks. This is this sequence. These last few pages that we just showed, that's what Joe Quesadilla wanted to write this fucking book. Like, that's what he wanted to draw this book for. This is what he's been waiting on. And he just whipped his creative dick out onto the table and was like, "Look, I can actually do it, ma." But it looks great. It's the best art of the series so far. Even better than that ending panel in the first book. The writing, again, it feels a little flat for JMS. But I can see where he's going to, but he's trying to take us there at 425 miles an hour, when this could definitely be stretched out a little more time spent on important character arcs and important development, as opposed to bouncing us around between flashbacks and shadow sequences.
I mean, if we had character development, Church, we couldn't assassinate the character.
Okay, I have to say something that I'm gonna feel ill saying.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned, J. Michael was primarily on Babylon 5. He has a background in television.
Mm-hmm.
Television, because of the limits of its time frame, is largely a mile-a-minute storytelling method, depending on your show. Yeah. So I'm not surprised that his writing is super fast. So what makes B5 good? Harlan Ellison, listed as a technical consultant, was probably deeply involved in the writing, and Harlan Ellison's a goddamn master of his craft.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that he was able to take the overly fast, frenetic television pace and slow it down for character study.
We need to do a breakdown on Babylon 5.
I suspect that is a problem here.
Will I have to watch Babylon 1 through 4 to be able to follow it?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
But whatever Millar had in mind, okay, J. Michael is putting it at TV pace, probably because Joey Q wanted to get through the preliminaries as quickly as possible to get to this scene.
Also, these books were pretty much the end of his contractual obligation, so he couldn't draw it out.
And I suspect that the stories suffered as a result.
Well, and again, even with my negative take on the pacing of the book, the story still moves forward cohesively. It's still easy to consume, and it still keeps you hooked in.
I'm not actually talking about anyone's quality of work. Their quality of work is probably equal to their level of other work they've done. I'm only talking about experiential level, where they come from, and how that influences pacing specifically.
No, and what I'm saying is, again, it's not a bad story. It's just okay, and this guy has done much better than okay before.
Let me ask this, Church. Serious question. How many books, like individual issues, would you say that this would need to really reach its full flower? Does it need one more book in between?
6.
It needs 6. How many did it get?
4.
So you're saying basically it needs 2 intermediate books that don't exist.
It needs 2 intermediate books and a restructuring of the existing 4, but yes.
Okay.
I absolutely hate this, but I'd say you could pull it off with 13. You'd need a whole year.
Maybe if you called it one more year, that could actually be really interesting.
Well,
every book is set in the month it's released, and you get Peter Parker and Mary Jane's last Halloween together.
Let me
their
ask
last
this.
Christmas together, and at the stroke of midnight, right before New Year.
Yeah, let me
Peter
ask
Parker
this,
wakes
Larry.
up. That would actually be really good.
Is it a year of build-up for sort of a double-size issue super book?
Basically.
Okay.
It's the only way you're going to get to the point where this makes any sense for the characters and the setting.
I think it could be done fine in 6. I think everything could be done in that time frame, and you could still use the same idea. It would be a little more fast-paced than what Larry's talking about, but I like the concept of a year where it's almost like 52, where where time is synonymous with the release dates. And you actually kind of feel a little. Well, let me finish. You actually feel immersed in the release of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, you get a Halloween book, a like a Valentine's Day book. After you find out that this is their last year as a married couple, and you actually get to put some weight on the outcome. But go ahead.
But Church, we never get the one more day until years later, at which point the well has been thoroughly poisoned.
What?
Right.
So this this series of books doesn't even deliver what it promises.
Well, what I'm getting at,
and we'll get there,
is if I understand where you both are coming from, whether it's an 8 issue or rather a 6 issue or a year long, we need more time, essentially, for Peter Parker's character to be worn down more, not because we want character assassination, but because we need him to be at a believable lowest ebb, that what ultimately will happen, whether we like it or not, is a believable possibility.
A good, there's a scene out there where Peter Parker in the black suit goes and confronts the Kingpin and beats the ever-living shit out of him.
Yep, I know that bit.
That could actually happen in this particular book and actually make sense, because halfway through that 12-issue or 6-issue series, Peter Parker emotionally breaks with the weight of what's about to happen, and he finally goes to take it out on the person whose fault it is.
Well, in a conversation with Larry, I had mentioned Kraven's Last Hunt, which they keep wanting to make a film out of without doing any of the build-up. Right? And one of the things that's such a crying shame about is because Kraven's Last Hunt, while it is certainly Kraven-centric, is a watershed Spider-Man film or piece, because that's the events where he almost murders somebody in cold blood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's MJ who pulls him back from the edge, because he was psychologically manipulated. He was beaten, buried alive, and then while he was trapped in a coffin, Kraven put on the spider suit and was murdering people in his name, because Kraven was completely batshit. And it was all a trick by the chameleon, right? And when Parker crawled out of a grave, he was like, nah, I'm gonna fuck somebody up now. Somebody's gonna get hurt tonight. And so we've seen Peter be that low. We know he can get there, but you got to do the work.
Right. And again, I think it would take 3 to 6 issues to get there in a given. But anyway, we're spending a lot of time on this.
Yeah.
Then we get to the issue where Peter and MJ talk in a motel, a seedy, gross motel, as opposed to a married couple who love each other deeply, a woman whose husband is in a deep, deep emotional funk, and a woman who could just, tell Peter to man up, put on his big boy pants. His aunt wouldn't have wanted this. His uncle wouldn't have wanted this. His parents wouldn't have wanted this. And also, the whole beating up the Kingpin thing brings into the fact that the Kingpin wouldn't have assassinated May Parker because he actually liked May Parker also.
He would have shot at Peter Parker, though, and if that bullet had hit May Parker, he would have killed the hitman, but still taken a beating.
And
he would have taken a beating Frank Castle style because he deserved it.
Here's the thing, just because it's pertinent. The Kingpin also would have paid for May Parker's hospital.
Absolutely.
and yeah, but here's the thing. There's even history for it because
maybe that's a draft we do in the future. Who would have paid for May Parker's hospital bill?
But remember, there's even precedent for this. How many times did Spider-Man save Vanessa?
Yep. That's right. That's right. And in fact, that also undermines the whole premise of Millar's having the Kingpin assassinate Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man did, in fact, save the Kingpin's wife on multiple occasions.
Multiple occasions. I actually own a book where a group of diet vultures called the Vampirians attack Spider-Man and are beating the shit out of him. And the Kingpin does Spider-Man a solid because he successfully beat the Vulturians who were disturbing Vanessa. I'm shitting you not. This is an actual plot for an actual comic. Spider-Man had gotten a hat for Aunt May and lost it in the fight. The Kingpin went out of his way to have the hat found, repaired, refurbished, and delivered to Spider-Man so Spider-Man could give it to his aunt.
Then there's also the comic where Spider-Man beat the Kingpin in a card game.
I mean, that sounds fun.
I think it was the Kingpin. But yes, so and then MJ betrays him as his wife. Also, the rules of how devils work are violated here. Peter doesn't have any choice. He's not an active protagonist in his own thing.
Well, that's because Joey Q or J. Michael or Mark Millar.
It was Joey Q.
Doesn't understand Christianity. See, we are led to believe that Peter Parker is given the devil's choice, right? And then, before he can make it, his wife, the Eve in this situation, steps in to make a counter offer that is accepted blindly. Not only does that not work for how devil's bargains are made, but that is a bad reinterpretation of Adam and Eve in the original sin.
I've got notes on that.
Yeah.
And then we have Peter emotionally regress as a character, and we've spent what?
Church.
How long have we spent? How long have we spent with Peter emotionally regress?
I have notes on that.
We need to get that on a shirt.
Look, I just want everybody to know that I prepared for this. That that out of everybody here, I actually have written down notes.
No, Ayrton. We have a word with Don Chin. We get some fan art made of Church, a little angry robot behind a desk, and we just put the text. I have notes on that.
I have notes on that.
No, it has to be like a high school nerd with like the glasses and the pocket protector, but still the robot.
Yeah.
We could just use Peter Parker's model from this comic book from where he's a video game developer.
Oh, perfect.
Anyway, yeah. I knew you were going to bring up the change in. God damn it! I keep hitting the wrong thing. But I knew you were going to bring up the fact where she like whispers something in his ear that you can't read.
Oh no, I'm not bringing that up. I'm not arguing that point. I'm saying Peter doesn't actually sign off on the deal. She signs off on the deal. Peter didn't agree, so it's not a valid devil's contract.
No. He didn't agree to her whispering to whatever she whispered in his ear.
No, he didn't agree to the deal. She's the one who said we're doing it. She made
he had to agree too. He agreed.
No, he didn't. He did not. Give me a second.
You guys are debating on a point and missing out on the key information. What she actually said was not "we accept the deal." It was, if we accept the deal, wipe Peter's mind of it because he won't be able to live with the guilt.
No, that's
Give
not
me
what
a
he
second.
said.
That is what was
That's
said.
also-
That's what her condition was.
Yeah,
She
no,
wanted-
that's
if they had to be
that's what
if
they
they had
did
to be
there.
apart, if they had to be apart, Mary Jane wanted Peter to live guilt-free so he could still be happy, which is worse.
So his being told to do it by Mary Jane means he didn't make the decision. She did. So it's not a valid devil's bargain. And that's
He
what is
does
on people.
say, well, yeah, she
He's-
says to do it, and he says, do it.
Right. So he's not making the decision. So it's not valid by the rules on how devils work.
I mean, it's Marvel Comics. I'm not going to take that away from him. I'm not taking points for that.
I am, because it's bad.
You can.
Here's the thing.
And it's bad because they were told they couldn't have Peter get divorced, but it was okay because that goes against the morals and values clause they have. But it's perfectly okay for the devil to take away his marriage.
Here's the thing.
Sure.
Here's the thing. It's not just that it's bad in a metaphysics sense, okay?
And a literature sense, because there's an entire corpus of literature.
And a literary sense. It is bad in a structural sense because it implies that when two people marry, they link souls on a fundamental level. Okay? So this was a stand-in for a divorce because the guy who wanted it was going through a divorce, and if he can't be happy, no one can be happy. Literally.
So the issue continues on after their marriage is taken by the devil. To quickly answer the questions in the chat, Miss Rena asked, why does Mephisto want some dude's marriage? Like, why not his soul? It actually covers that in issue 3 because Peter would be a martyr and righteous.
No. They've since retconned that their child was going to be a great foe of Mephisto and defeat him at a crucial moment of his victory.
But she still exists in the continuity of Marvel Comics. She's Mayday Parker, Spider-Girl.
No, they took that away when Hickman rebooted the universe.
Well, wait a minute.
She's still there.
Wait a minute. Is she into the Spider-Verse?
No.
Yes.
I got to rewatch
the new movie. She's the baby.
Oh. Fair.
No, she's Spider Baby.
No, that's why I said fair.
The only reason I bring it up is because we shouldn't be arguing about Marvel being inconsistent. They're wildly known to do that.
Yeah. Well, I just assume that everything's canon all the time now. That's the only way to approach it. Everything is possible if it's been written before.
To more succinctly answer your question, Miss Rena, see, in another book, Spider-Man met God, and God told Spider-Man
the one above all.
In fact, God told Spider-Man that he was A-okay, about 1 month before this whole train wreck started.
The one above all met Spider-Man and said, "You are blessed. You are the special guy. You are the center of the universe." Okay? So, in a sense, Mephisto wants to break up the marriage to destroy the blessing. This is God and the devil slap fighting for control of Peter Parker's soul. And Parker blinked.
So did you just point out that this is an allegory for the story of Job?
A badly done one, yes. That's
a
what I mean.
horribly done one. A horribly done one.
A lot of this is badly done Christendom by either non-Christians or people who are Christian but with only like a barely a 101 understanding of the material.
Hey, Joey Q went to Catholic school and he was asleep probably when the nuns were teaching him this stuff.
Yeah, the thing is that the more exposure you have, the less excusable it gets. It's like DC asking Zack Snyder, "Hey, you're an objectivist who doesn't believe in altruism. Do you want to write Superman?"
So to succinctly answer the question, so we can move on. Mephisto, in this context, in this book, is doing it because he thrives off of the disparaging and just emotional hardship of people, instead of righteous souls. So he's taking what Peter loves the most in his marriage, because apparently his and Mary Jane's marriage is one of true love, and it gets one over on God. Or he did it because he's going to have a baby that's going to challenge Mephisto, whichever way you want to go through it. And Mary Jane accepted this deal because the plot necessitated she did that.
Or both. I mean,
is that fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. So the second half of this book, Peter Parker wakes up and goes into, goes to get breakfast, is late for a party for one Harry Osborn. He sees Mary Jane there, dressed in a black dress. There's apparently some kind of issue between them. We don't know what it is.
And that's never really resolved.
Right.
Well, it was an excuse to roll back the clock and bring back several dead characters, including Gwen fucking Stacy.
That they decided, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Norman Osborn raped Gwen Stacy? No, that's the exact opposite of cool.
That would be the opposite of cool. But do you have anything else to say about One More Day?
I just respect Marvel's ability to troll and have contempt for their audience to continue this in the continuity when it is clearly unpopular.
Right. I don't disagree with that. But let's get to my notes here. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. All right. So one of the things in this story, Amazing Spider-Man 545, same creative team, except on this issue in particular, the story is split between JMS and Joey Q. My notes were, I fully expect this is where it all falls apart. The art notes. I like the use of art over dialogue in this issue, actually. Like, a lot of people critique that use of storytelling. I actually appreciate it in this book because you get panels like these where it clearly shows the emotion of Mary Jane. Yes, it's kind of static. Yes, it's kind of stiff. But you don't need a single word in these 4 pictures to see that this person is distraught.
I also want to point out that the criticism I had earlier doesn't apply here. While they may be in a sleazy motel, they've clearly slipped into a non-Euclidean space, or like a space that isn't real, because fucking Mephisto. So being literally in darkness surrounded by evil works.
It also works with the emotion of the weight of everything bearing down on them. You have 2 people that love each other, and the weight of what they're about to give up is clearly shown. Excellent use of color, excellent use of framing. The few words you do get in some of these panels, like, hey, do you remember when? And Mary Jane just says, shh, and just shushes him, doesn't let him talk, and just sits there with him. That continues on. And he's like, I remember it all. This is really difficult. And then Mephisto shows up, and you've got your back and forth. I don't really have a lot to say about that. It moved forward with good pacing. And again, it gets you to where the story wants you to go. Now, whether you appreciate where that story takes you, I don't begrudge you either opinion. But in, keeping with the devil's advocacy of the worthiness of this to be published, I don't think it did anything wrong here, except in a way of saying,
except character assassinating 2 iconic characters, emotionally retarding one of those characters, diminishing sales for one of the leading lights of Marvel Comics' sales.
I go back to what I said earlier. The things that have been done to that character since 2015, just overshadow that to a point where this isn't that bad.
See, I would posit that those things happened because this happened. This established a
No.
policy to do those things.
No, actually, it literally did. It literally did. There was a Marvel editorial mandate that came from One More Day. That all those bad things happened because of the post One More Day memo to explain to writers how they needed to write Spider-Man from now on.
I mean, I think good writers would have just completely ignored that memo.
Right, but that's not who Marvel hired. Marvel hired people who would obey.
Well, that's.
And when good writers said, hey, maybe we should change that, they said, hey, how about you write on something else for us instead?
Now, let me get back to what I was saying. The use of shadow, the lack of backgrounds actually works really well here, parroting what Rune just said. It conveys the darkness looming over Peter and MJ in their final hours together. All in all, the art only got better up until the second half of this book, where it completely flips again. And I do take note of that. The quick shift from the dark and foreboding to bright and happy colors was done fairly well, I think, because and that's one of the few things art directively that I could positively say about this. But you go from this, okay, immediately to this, and it might look a little shocking, but when you're looking at it page by page, one page at a time, you go from black to, just kind of neutral tones, and light slowly seeps into the panels until you get to the panel where May is back. So I thought that was actually really well done, a really good use of color. And honestly, though, I'll get to that when I get to the writing. But it didn't really help convey the weight of the decision made to get us to this point. So I think it was a good use of color to ease you into that portion of the story. But I don't think that it did justice to what just happened. When you get to the point at the party where you see Mary Jane, she's dressed in black. That was a nice touch. Once you realize the unreadable text spoken to Mephisto was, "You're going to make me remember everything." Which that takes me directly into my writing notes, because that is the one thing that just kind of ruined this book for me as someone approaching it as I just read this for the first time. To find out that's what that line of dialogue, it was the biggest contention in this story. It leaves in my mind, at least, that an out
that Mary
that this
Jane's
can be
evil.
No, it leaves an out immediately, because if that's what she said to Mephisto, then at literally any point in Peter Parker's new existence, she can walk up and be like, "Hey, we were married and happy."
Right, and she doesn't. And she doesn't.
Yeah.
So she's evil.
Yeah.
She's become an irredeemable evil woman.
Well, obviously that wouldn't facilitate the plan that Joey Q had, but it left an out.
To quote the great street prophet, from the streets she has come, and to the streets she must go.
Correct.
Here's the thing about that I think must be mentioned. It's not that she's evil, although that is the result of the long term. Okay?
No, I mean the entire decision is evil.
Yes.
Yeah, but let me explain. That means the reason that Mephisto agreed to wipe Spider-Man's brain, okay, and have her remember, is because from Mephisto's perspective, she will suffer in torment more than him. And I am 100% certain that's what Joe Q and J. Michael thought was good writing.
Right, except they don't write her suffering.
Right.
In fact, they write her life being better.
Right, because you can't write a woman suffering at current Marvel.
Also, they wanted her to be evil. That was the whole point.
I mean, doesn't that just mean that every woman in Peter's life, except for his aunt, is evil and is kind of creepy?
Yes.
All right. Let me finish this
they
so we
made
can
Black
move on.
Cat evil again.
God damn it. All right. So the narrative of having her remember robs the entire series of its depth and meaning. The first half of the fourth issue, however, seemed pretty well thought out. but the second half could have easily been condensed and capped with Peter waking up to eat breakfast and then rushing out to get to work, rather than continuing on to him to get to a surprise party and seeing Mary Jane in this issue.
Also, since the ending isn't focused on Aunt May, it means the sacrifice wasn't really about Aunt May. It's about Peter's own ego, which diminishes Peter as a character.
It was about Peter's unconscious, yes.
So it takes the good, noble man that is Peter Parker and takes a dump on it.
Yeah,
and not the good kind of dump that you can go get a Vietnamese lady down the street to do for you.
I will credit that they're almost right. Peter Parker has a serious guilt complex, always has. That is true.
My last notes here are the Harry Osborn angle was overdone. There was a lot of room in this issue specifically, not to mention room for more issues, but of Peter and Mary Jane spending their last hours together, not in a seedy motel room. However, all in all, the story wasn't terrible, even though parts felt rushed and parts were inconsistent. But it did what it set out to do, putting the Spider-Man character back in the toy box with a clean slate for Joey Q to act out his fetishes with.
Today on Spider-Man, the author's barely concealed fetish.
The lettering notes I had for issue 3 and 4 were the same. The red halftone boxes were abandoned after issue 2, and I think that was a good choice. Now, when you guys were talking about different people who could show up to pay the medical bills of Aunt May, I had a thought of somebody that it would never happen this way, but it would be absolutely hilarious, is if you had somebody come out of the woodwork like, I don't know, Flash Thompson with the Venom symbiote.
We could add Venom Aunt May.
Yes, Venom Aunt May to heal her bullet wound and bring her back to health.
Remember, Flash reconciled with Peter.
Yeah.
Flash found out that Peter was Spider-Man, his biggest hero, and was like, "Oh shit, I was an asshole." Flash Thompson is like a good guy now.
Well, yeah, he was Space Knight Venom for a while.
Try not to remind me of that bullshit, please.
There's that weird X-Men story where like protesters like crucified mutants on the X-Mansion lawn. Do you guys remember that story?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Well, so there's that part of the story where they can like hook up like a blood transfusion to Angel and he heals them. So you could have Angel show up and do a blood transfusion.
No, you're thinking too small. No, you're thinking too small. We go talk to Professor X, and we have him take her to Krakoa, where they grow a new Aunt May.
Hold up. The plant terrorist drug dealers didn't exist yet.
No, but we could use Doctor Strange's magic to go forward in time to when they did.
So we're going to do a draft about vehicles. Let's do that draft about vehicles.
All right.
You see, this is all Church's elaborate plan to throw everybody else off of the vehicle draft.
That's right. I still have a list. I've got notes on that.
I have a list too.
All right.
I actually have 6. I have an extra one just in case.
Actually, I'm going to stop this screen. I got to share a different screen first. We got to pick who goes first.
So I got a question for you, Church. Do living creatures count as vehicles for the purpose of this?
If you can make an argument for it.
If
you can make an argument for it, I don't see why not. All right, here we go. We're going to roll 1d4. And all right. Larry goes first this week.
All right.
Oh, so, no, Rune does. I'm sorry. Rune is number 4 traditionally. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna start off really normie, but it is, whether I like the show or not, it's irrelevant. It is a vehicle of renown.
And don't forget to drop a
from
picture.
Knight Rider.
Okay.
Heck yeah. Kit from Knight Rider.
A picture for me to pull up.
I mean, I can dig up a picture of Kit from Knight Rider, but I think most people know Kit from Knight Rider.
And are you going to tell us anything about Kit from Knight Rider, or are we just?
Well, first of all, I mean, it's a show about the Hoff.
It's a black Trans Am
Yeah.
that has that has a sassy British guy in it.
Well, it has a sassy British AI in it. And in fact, I will get you 2 pictures. I will get you an exterior shot, and I'll get you an interior shot.
Because the interior shot is the iconic image.
Yeah, the interior is the part that's interesting. But basically, at a given point in the, I want to say the mid '80s, they were like, we need to we need a show to tap into this superhero thing, but it needs to be original. And so they went with, what if David Hasselhoff had a car that was a computer, and they go on sort of low-key heroic adventures.
Did you post them in the private chat?
I'm looking it up right now. I'm finding lots of toys, and it's like, I don't want pictures of the toys. I want the actual car, people.
All right, so Kit from Knight Rider. I think that's it's a strong opening. It's a strong opening.
It is. It is.
That's a good one.
I am going to go with what I think is another strong opening. I'm going to go with the Spaz Frag 666, the space bike of one Lobo.
Damn it! I had that one on my list.
I think it's a wonderful pick. I don't think
that also works.
Don't think anybody is going to challenge that as not being probably one of the leading picks of the night. But I guess we'll go on to Ayrton.
All right, let me take that one off.
Well, let me get a picture of the Spaz Frag up while you consider. This is an amazing bike.
There are multiple Spaz Frags to choose from too.
Yeah, we're gonna go with the classic. We're gonna go right here.
So I'm going on brand for myself and going with James Bond's 1964 Aston Martin DB5.
Hell yeah!
James Bond.
So you got
what makes it super?
Aston Martin. So
it's
DB5,
it's a classic supercar that was driven by James Bond.
It's the original James Bond spy car.
I was going to say, is that the one with all the trickery by Q in it?
That's every vehicle he has.
Yeah.
So he's got machine guns out the front.
I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking for the audience, assholes.
I know.
I mean, it's a luxury supercar with armor and guns, and James Bond banged hot women in it.
He's got an oil slick, smoke screen, road tax that drop out. It's the classic. It's the spy car.
Are you not able to do any producer stuff?
No,
on the iPad?
Not from my iPad. No.
Not on the iPad.
Why are you so bad? Why are you so bad, Ed? You're making me pull some double duty here.
Yeah. So my pick, because I decided I want to have some continuity from our last section of the show to this section. I'm picking the Spider-Mobile.
I knew that was going to come up.
I
didn't put it on my list, but what were the abilities of the Spider-Mobile?
It is a car that Spider-Man uses to drive around in New York City, which is extremely difficult.
Yeah, there were many versions of the Spider-Mobile.
I picked the iconic buggy. I didn't pick any of the fancier new ones.
Okay. All right. I like it. Very elegant pick. Very elegant pick. All right. So Spider-Mobile for Larry. What about you, Rune? What are you thinking?
Are we back to me?
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna pull out a hot one. And mind you, it's multiple vehicles, but it doesn't matter. And this will probably be a hot debate. I want to argue Voltron.
Ooh.
And I know that there was also a vehicle Voltron. I mean, this technically opens up Power Rangers as well, because they're also vehicles.
I mean, I think the vehicle Voltron is fine.
Well, see, I could actually
Because-
argue the Lion Voltron is also fine. They are vehicles. They need a pilot.
Yeah, but I mean,
But it's not a
We-
standard mode of transportation, really, for the mythic
That's-
fighting vehicle.
That's why I was asking you before show. Does it need to be a very standard piece of
No,
No,
not
but-
standard, but I'm saying the Spider-Mobile's not standard, but if Spider-Man's got to go somewhere and he's not web slinging, he's taking the bus or the Spider-Mobile.
right?
yeah,
The guys, if they're going to get a milkshake or whatever, they're not taking Voltron. They might take the Voltron vehicle, but I mean, I don't know. What do you say, Ayrton? You'll be the tiebreaker. I'm not against giving it to him.
I'm leaning towards giving it to him just because you do have to pilot it.
yeah. Let's go with it.
Well, let me be clear. Let me be clear. We're talking actual Voltron, none of that Netflix shit.
No. We know.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So back up to church.
Well, let me get an image of Voltron up on the stream. I'm sorry, I'm a little slower tonight. I'm having to do everything. Everybody else around here is kind of useless.
Hey, it's not my fault this
Ow.
time.
That hurts me, Church.
Good,
Trying my
good.
best.
I hope it hurts. I hope you feel bad about it.
Okay.
I like when it stings. You got Voltron.
Okay, so wait a minute. You're saying tonight the
No.
church's barely concealed fetish.
All right.
So where are we at, church? What's your pick?
For number 2, I think I'm going to take a page out of you guys' book. I'm going to go something that's not necessarily superhero related, but we've got James Bond on the table. We've got Knight Rider on the table. I'm going to take Frankenstein's monster from Death Race.
Excellent choice, sir. Excellent choice.
Now, to be clear, by the rules of our draft, that means Death Race is off the table. So nobody can go grab Sylvester Stallone's machine off of that either.
I mean, I would prefer if you didn't. That would keep it more interesting. But if that's all you got, that's all you got.
I mean, that's like the new version of Frankenstein's car.
No, we need the classic.
Right.
You need the David Carradine.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I like the new version though. I didn't like the movie that much, but
Gotta go classic church.
Yeah. This is the one that looks like a lizard. And it's still good.
Yeah.
Still good, but it's not the one that I
There you
initially
go.
picked. Like,
It's apparently it was made using a Corvette.
I can see the line.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
All right, Ayrton, you're up.
So this one I'm hoping Rune had on his list because I want to take it away from him. It's Moon Knight's Mooncopter.
It was not on my list.
Oh wow.
Moon Knight's Mooncopter. All right. Can you at least put a picture of that in the side chat, or are you unable to do that either?
StreamYards can be funky on mobile if I try and leave.
All right.
But,
I feel like these are just like excuses.
I'm trying. Give me a sec.
Okay, I'll probably be faster.
Before, when I would try and do this, it wouldn't work. Yeah, probably.
All right. Go ahead, Larry. What's your
You got the Mooncopter?
I've got an image of it. Go ahead.
Give me a second. So I am going to the Dresden Files. In the Dresden Files universe, wizards make technology break down. So only the most robust technological platforms are able to be successful. So I pick Harry Dresden's Blue Beetle, that, like all Volkswagen products, has had to be reconstructed several times.
Okay. I don't know anything about the Dresden Files, so this one's going to be new to me.
Basically, Harry Dresden is the only wizard in the phone book in Chicago who's also a detective.
All right. I've seen memes about him, but apparently he's like a super badass.
He also has a comic book.
Really?
It was like, I think, a 6 or an 8.
All right, Rune, back onto you, buddy.
All right. This one is my personal counter fuck you to Ayrton trying to fuck up my list. But also will probably irk you, Church, because I bet it was on your list. Because it is iconic. We cannot deny it. The Thanos copter.
Thanos copter not on my list.
Nice.
It was not
But,
on my list. It is an excellent shitpost choice.
That wasn't on mine
Stupid.
either.
As stupid as the Thanos copter is, because I love Thanos. Thanos is actually a great character. The Thanos copter is eminently hilarious forever and needs to be remembered.
It does. It does.
All right.
It's up there with some other copters we could name that might be on this list later.
All right, let me get this pulled up. They say the cats have 9 lives. Now I'll see for myself. That's,
Yeah, because it's a
very
Hellcat
good.
book.
Very good, Thanos. Great use of your infinite power trying to take on Hellcat.
Well, he didn't have infinite power back then, and Hellcat, she was banging the son of the devil.
And remember, it's a bright yellow helicopter with the word Thanos written on the side, so you know it belongs to him.
I've still got a lot. Like, I actually expected a lot more of these to get picked. That's why my list is so deep. But you guys are pulling out some good ones that I either didn't consider or considered too shitposty to attempt. Let's see. I gotta look up an image for this one real quick. It's it definitely a vehicle, but it's also just a character. It's also a character in its own right. It is not from the movie Cars. It is from the DC universe.
Is it Speed Buggy?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Plastic Man. Plastic Man becomes his own car.
Look, I cannot criticize Plastic Man being a vehicle because I pulled out Voltron, so that just seems fair.
Well, Plastic Man becomes his vehicle. He's also a chair occasionally when Harley Quinn's around.
And he's been a horse.
When Harley Quinn's around.
Well, I figured we all have our movie franchise and our shit post out. Except Larry, but
no, we don't.
I mean, actually, the Spider-Mobile wasn't Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, okay.
And the Dresden Files had a TV show. Although in the TV show, it was a more like a van Jeep kind of Volkswagen.
I actually expected a little more of a reaction from Plastic Man. I'm disappointed.
So Ayrton, what you got, bro?
I actually got a maybe have a photo. Come on. Okay, so I am also going with the Volkswagen, and it is Herbie, the famous love bug.
That is quality. That is not a shit post. That is like an I'm old enough to remember that. That is esoterica. Ayrton, you have actually failed at shit posting. You have actually contributed.
Oh man, I was so trying to shit post.
All right, so Herbie.
So I'm going to post my image for my car, and there's just a single word that really sums up why the car is so powerful, and that word is family.
Dom Toretto's what?
It's Toretto's
much.
Charger.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I hate you so
You know, I don't think it counts,
EPTO.
but I'm
Yeah, I think that's how you spell it.
I hate you so much, Larry.
yeah, I don't think this counts, but I'm gonna let it slide because that was too good.
Trust me, you're gonna hate me in a minute. It'll be great.
Well, I mean, Dom used his vehicle for all sorts of superheroics, including fighting a submarine with a car.
But I mean, what else are you supposed to fight the submarine with?
So you're back up at top, Rune.
Okay, so to clarify why this is acceptable, because otherwise I would have skipped it. We had Plastic Man who becomes a car, and we have Herbie who is a car.
Mhm.
I'm going to use one example, but we know that this is in fact talking about the entire franchise, Transformers. Specifically, I'm going to give Optimus Prime.
All right.
I
Even though
approve.
I drafted Optimus Prime already, I think.
Oh. But
Not for this draft.
yeah, not for this.
I know, but is that a thing?
No,
Are we doing that?
Each draft is a different set of qualifications.
It
I know,
hadn't
but
come up. It hadn't come up before, so we need to add it to the rule book, whether it is or not. Should we be writing these rules down?
No. Let's forget about them and argue about them in at length.
Okay.
Because arguing about them at length is it's good content.
That is good content. All right, so Optimus Prime. We'll give you Megatron. How about that?
I mean, I could do Megatron too. He turns into a tank, a jet, and a gun.
Well, that way I still have Optimus Prime, and now you've got Megatron. You still got your point across.
I'll do fucking Starscream if you want.
Starscream's also an excellent choice.
That way we can establish do we get to pick the same character as somebody else in another draft, or do we?
Right.
Or do we have to fight for that pick later? Because Larry was talking about doing some things where we do things with all of our combined picks. So I've been keeping records of them.
Right.
All right. So
getting down to the wire.
There's been some good choices. There's been some shit posty choices. I'm gonna go ahead and lock in Turtle Van.
The one from what's his face's Wild Cards?
From what?
The one from Wild Cards?
Not the turtle from Wild Cards, although that is a good choice. The Ninja Turtle van.
The Battle Van from Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
I'll call it the Turtle Battle Van. So.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
You know what I like? How quickly we can go between picks. How we've gotten this stuff down.
Oh yeah. Turtle Battle Van. It threw Razor Edge pizzas. I mean, depending on what version of it, you had all kind of gadgets. Sometimes it was a big rig. Sometimes it had a water cannon. I mean, it was just, and honestly, it was one of the best toys of our childhood. If you had a turtle van with your Ninja Turtles, you won at life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Ayrton, what you got?
So, well, since you pulled the Fast and the Furious family thing, I'm gonna have to follow you again, and now I'm gonna have to choose the General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard.
That is an excellent choice, sir.
Rune, I apologize. Rune, you're absolutely right. Optimus Prime is yours. I apologize. I had him on my list of picks for this one.
Excellent. So, and Ayrton chose the General Lee.
The General Lee. Now, what makes that a super vehicle?
Well,
I mean, it jump a bridge.
It does. It does. It also helps them. It also helps them avoid revenuers who are trying to get taxes on their illicit booze.
Here, we need to clarify something in our thing, and I'm not trying to disavow Ayrton's choice. I'm just saying we need to clarify it. Does a super vehicle need to essentially be superhuman? Because the
No, it
General
doesn't need
Lee
to
is
be-
just a souped-up auto.
That's what I'm saying. And
Actually,
so
it's not
is
even
Toretto's,
souped up.
though.
But
Well-
in fairness, Toretto's vehicle in the last movie had like super magnets and
Yeah,
weird
that is
shit in it.
true.
Well,
The
see,
General
Well,
Lee.
the generally they have their bows. They have their bow and arrows in there because the Duke boys are on parole and they're not allowed to use guns.
Nah, I'm not giving you that one.
Well, no,
The
see,
General
there's...
Lee itself doesn't have a rocket or a crossbow affixed
But
to it.
but the General Lee is heroic.
All right, I have to burn a choice, and I'm sorry to do it, but I need to burn it so no one can use it. But because we need to discuss it.
No, we're not.
No.
We're not on you yet, Rude.
No, I'm saying
We're
in
not there yet.
general. I'm saying in general, because I wasn't going to use
Okay.
it. Is the A-Team van acceptable for this draft?
Yeah,
I mean,
But
if the
it's
General
also
Lee
just
is
a
the
car.
Yeah,
I
if the
mean,
General Lee
but they
is
modify
in
the
A-Team
van.
has to.
They modify the A-Team van all the time.
They did modify the A-Team van.
listen, you
Wait,
wouldn't
hold
have
on,
the Duke's
hold
a
on.
hazard.
Qualifiers. Was the General Lee souped up with like nitrous or anything?
Yeah, that's how
I
they
would
did the
assume
jump.
so.
Okay, then we'll give it to him. We'll give it to him. It does have super enhancement. It is okay, and you can totally, and nobody gets the 18 van if we want to use it as his last pick.
I
That's
apologize for burning it, but we were struggling and I needed to clarify.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. And for my pick is something a little esoteric, but it was one of my favorite cartoons growing up. Turbo Teen.
Turbo Team.
Turbo Teen. He was a young man who got
Turbo
fused with
Teen.
his hot rod. Turbo Teen. He was a young man who got fused with his hot rod, and when exposed to, I don't remember if it was hot or cold water. It was hot water. He got turned into a car,
Okay.
and he and his friends did various adventures.
Oh man, I've seen memes of this before, and I didn't know where it came from.
Now you do. You do.
And I hate you for telling me. All right, Rune, where you at, buddy?
All right, just give me a second. I'm trying to get a larger image here for this. This is the best one I got, but there are.
Oh, wait. Let's do our honorable mention before we get to number 5. So you can do that.
Okay. Well, good, because I mean I've got it, but I do have an honorable mention that I wanna drop if we're gonna do honorables. My honorable mention is the Rockford Files car. It's a Pontiac Firebird. If you've for old people that have not seen the Rockford Files, there it is. Because that is a man's man of a car.
I guess for an honorable mention, I'm going to go ahead and throw Rush from Mega Man out there.
Nice. Nice. How about you,
Does
Ayrton?
that mean I can throw out Yoshi?
You could use Yoshi as an honorable. That is a means of getting around. I would have actually picked it, but.
And my honorable mention, going in line with Rune's choice of Optimus Prime, the GoBots, because the GoBots were okay. They just they picked the wrong time.
Okay. All right. Okay, Rune. What's number 5?
My number 5 is most epic, and I'm going to use this picture because it's the better one of the two. Because you can't beat it. You can almost never beat it. Children to this day want it. Dino Riders. No vehicle is as good as riding a giant dinosaur mounted with laser cannons.
That is a very strong choice,
That is
sir.
strong. That is fucking strong. That is a good one.
Damn. Yeah, that is a good one.
That is an old man's choice right there.
I don't always choose vehicles, but when I choose vehicles, I choose the one with dinosaurs.
All right. I like it. What I guess it's on me now. Yeah.
It is.
having to produce the show and be on the show. It's no fun.
I mean, that's why you got Ayrton in the first place, and now he's on a potato. What's up with that?
Yeah, I know. My fifth pick is it's not gonna be a very popular pick, I don't think, with the larger audience on Twitter. But I've got to take it. The Silver Surfer surfboard.
I mean, no one's going to question that choice. That is a strong choice.
All right, Ayrton, what you got?
Well, I was going between two, and in light of Church's pick, I'm going to go with Ghost Rider's Hell Cycle.
Ooh.
Also an excellent choice. And I'm
Hold on,
choosing.
let me get some images up real quick.
Mm,
Silver Surfer board. And then what, the Hell Cycle you said?
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's the Silver Surfer, everybody. We all know about that guy.
And I am going to choose once the Hell Cycles image comes up.
All right, let's get that out of here. That up. Hell Cycle. Yeah,
Also,
there we go. That's a good one.
Credits due, Larry. Thank you for choosing the cycle and not like any of the other vehicles that have been.
Well, that's
stand-ins.
Ayrton's choice, yes, but I got something fun. So
Go ahead. I'll get a picture up.
well, I choose the Firefly from Firefly.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Oh, Serenity.
The greatest
Yeah.
hell cycle you'll ever see. Firefly from Firefly.
So who won last week's?
The ship's called Serenity.
It's called the Firefly. Well, no, the show's the ship's called Serenity, but it's a Firefly class freighter.
Yes.
So who won the Poland for last week?
I believe it was there were a couple of ties. I'll pull those numbers up here in a second. Let me get the Firefly up. And then Firefly. And that's it. Now I did have some other picks for this show that I didn't get to. The Gadget Mobile from Inspector Gadget.
Excellent choice.
Mach 5 from Speed Racer.
Did anybody else have Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
True story. My mom and my father had a fight when I was born because my father wanted to call me Speed Racer and mom said no.
No, very good. Titanus, the Ultrazord that carried the Megazords around. So it wasn't a vehicle for superheroes. It was a vehicle for the Megazord.
I would have also went with the Thunderbirds vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
It's another choice.
I thought of Zoids. Do you guys remember that?
Oh yeah, Zoids. They had the Liger things too.
The Invisible Jet, I'm a little surprised didn't come up. Same with the Fantastic Car. Or the Bug from Blue Beetle.
Or there also could have been the Pogo plane from Fantastic Four.
Somebody could have argued for Iron Man's armor pretty easily, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it.
I don't actually think that would have been correct since we just had a draft about armor.
Yeah, I
was prepared to have that one out though. Now, my personal favorite that I was prepared to argue but decided against: Legion flight rings. That was the one that I was torn between that and Plastic Man, and I thought Plastic Man would get the better reaction. But yeah, so that's a pretty good list. Pretty balanced. All right, so you were asking about last week's draft.
Yeah.
Let's get that pulled up here. Profile. There we go. So, On the round 5 pick, Samus Aran won by a whopping 67%. Mocking the V and Gizmo Duck tied at 14. Round 4, War Machine won by 51%, followed by Ultraman at 31%. The round 3, the Mask won at 48%, followed by Batman Beyond at 35%. Round 2 was a dead tie between Guts and Spawn. And the Venom symbiote pulled out ahead on round 1, followed by Dr. Doom at 32%. I honestly thought Doom was going to win that. So technically, I guess you could say Rune won because he had 2.5 wins, and I only had 2. But I'm going to say we tied, and there was a tie between you and Rune. So technically, he's first place, but I'm second first place.
And it's an interesting place to be in second firstest.
Yeah, right. But yeah.
So what are we doing for the next draft?
I don't know. Does anybody have a request for a topic? Because I've got a couple.
Who could have paid for Aunt May's surgery?
Hey,
No.
Here's no. Similar vein, but much more contentious, and probably will get many views. Top 5 love interests.
I like that. My recommendation is top 5 super weapons.
Okay. You got anything, Ayrton, or you just want to go with one of those?
I'm going to go with top 5 people that could have helped Aunt May during one more day.
We're not doing that. Larry, Rune picked last, so we'll go with top 5 super weapons for next week. We will keep top 5 love interest in the can, though.
Because that's going to be good.
Yeah. But we need some time to prepare for that one. Super weapons, I think, will be a little faster. Okay. All right. So yeah, next week, top 5 super weapons. We'll be ready for that. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think you've endured enough. Unless we have anything else real quick at the end here.
No, not so much.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, get us the fuck out of here, Potato Air.
Good night, everybody.
Airtable.